You're muted. You're muted. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Waiting for Matt to become unmuted here. Episode 45 of AEZ Canada. Always the fun here. We always like to get everything together. Matt is over there playing around with his audio. This is just a joy for me. I just woke up from a nap, so hello everybody. Welcome to the show. But yes, we are very excited to be here as Matt is trying to figure out why he is still muted. See, this is the joy.
Okay.
There he is.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, Matt, all yours.
Some technical issues, and sorry about that, guys. Again, I thought it was all set, and lo and behold. So thank you for covering me there, Adam. So, and it's good to be back another week. It's great. Like I said, episode number 45 here, AEZ Canada, every Tuesday night here on YouTube. And thanks for tuning in. And please, again, like and subscribe, and tell your family and friends. We always appreciate everyone watching and listening. And of course, in the comments, we love. Hey, please, include some of your comments. We'd love to read them off and then also discuss anything that you might have to say as well. So, that's great. So again, thanks for tuning in, everybody. And Adam, it's a pleasure. And how's your week been, sir?
It's good. Off day tomorrow from work, so thank God. So like I said, I just took a nap, so I'm a little good to go for tonight. I was a little tired from work, so I'm like, needed a power nap so I could be ready with Matt.
Perfect. There's something to be said about having a day off during the week. It's nice the way to kind of break it up and actually do things when no one's around. Right. So
it's easier to get things that if you get scheduled, you can get them done on a weekday. So.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's for sure. But no, it's great. As we're here at another full week of professional wrestling. And, today we'll be kind of talking about giving some of our predictions and comments on regarding AEW's Forbidden Door pay-per-view, which is coming up live from the TD Garden, I believe, in Boston, Massachusetts on Sunday night, June 30th. It kind of works out for me. I'm not sure I'll be able to see it live, but July 1st is Canada Day here. So for me, it's an extra long weekend. And Adam, I guess that might be a long weekend for you since July 4th is coming up next week for you. I don't know if it falls on a Thursday, so I don't know if you're taking the Friday off to make that a long weekend. So a nice short week.
For me, so I'm working that day, so I also get holiday pay as well. So I'm not going to complain. It's a lot more money on my paycheck, but I'll be off that weekend, and I'll actually be traveling up to Louisville, Kentucky for a bowling tournament that weekend. So very excited.
Very nice. Well, that sounds good. That sounds great. So, like I said, we'll kind of jump right into it. We're looking at the card again for Forbidden Door, the pay-per-view by AEW this Sunday, and let's, I guess, maybe talk about. I believe these will be all the matches. Again, you never know with AEW, but they throw an extra match in here and there after what happens this week leading up to it. But we've got the learning tree, Chris Jericho, along with Big Bill and Brian Keith versus Samoa Joe, Hook, and Katsuri Shibata. I always probably butchered that, but this is an interesting match. This could be the one to lead off the night, or it might be the one that's going to, at least I guess maybe lead off the Ground Zero show. But what's your take on this? Are you looking forward to this 6-man tag, or and who do you think is going to come away with the win with this one?
Unfortunately, I do believe this is going to be on the buy-in show. So the 0 hour, that's what I feel is it's going to be. I don't know if it doesn't fit into the regular pay-per-view card. Maybe it does. Maybe last minute they add something else to the 0 hour, because obviously you got to have more than just this one match. So who knows what will be. This one, you got a little bit of a preview of it last week with Joe, Hook, and Shibata as a team. I do like the fact that last week Shibata did the walk-away move that Joe does, and Joe acknowledged it. So I do like this team up of these three guys together. And again, I don't know how much interest I have in it as far as where we're going with Chris Jericho. and his little group. I like they finally gave Big Bill a name, and it's the Redwood Big Bill. So that's pretty cool that they gave him a nickname. So, but for me, I don't know. For me, this is just a throwaway, just to get those guys on the card as much. I mean, we think about like everything with Joe. Like Joe was champion like not too long ago, and now like and Hook was FTW champion. Shibata was a Ring of Honor champion. Now they're getting thrown this little storyline with, Chris Jericho and his little group. So with that, I mean, I really don't have much of a prediction here other than I hope that somehow Joe, Hook, and Shibata get the win here and kind of bring Jericho down a little bit on the pedestal. Just because I don't know how much more of Jericho we're going to get. And I think it's at the point we have mentioned on here that he's at the point of like almost retirement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what you mean. It'll be good. It will be an entertaining match. Is it kind of thrown together a bit just to have some extra international talent on a Forbidden Door, which is they like to do that, and it kind of seems to throw anyone who's not American. They're trying to get on the card just to make it more international. But you know what? I think the one thing I guess I'm seeing in the last few weeks. And actually, I think it was Tony Schiavone made a comment and actually said, hey, could we see these guys as future trios champions? Right. So if they are going to, again, maybe if they're going to be smart about this and actually make it mean something and actually have these guys kind of stay together, work together. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've noticed in the last few weeks, there's definitely a lot more trios matches. And actually like kind of pulling it back and like bringing back all the teams and kind of showing them off again. So I really hope if it means they're going to put more effort into that division and actually really mean something by having a lot of groups. So, and the only way you're going to do that is is forming some groups and having a little bit of longevity and having them actually some trios matches that aren't for a championship, the trios championship, right? To kind of show what other, and make sure you're showcasing the other talent there. So, I actually don't mind that team. I'm glad that Joe's in the mix. I always with Joe, because again, every time we see him pair up with somebody that it looks somewhat babyface, he always does a turn, right? So, do you get that feeling at all with this Joe that again he could just turn on these guys again and go back to being, the mean Joe, or is this just right now he's just rolling with the baby face and having him kind of hooked up with these guys as kind of a mentor? How do you feel? Do you see anything coming with this group?
I actually am leaning more towards the whole mentorship of it. Like I think Joe was very happy with even though it was a short reign, he had a reign as a world champion again, and I think that's all he wanted to do. Like I don't even know if he wanted to do it, but I'm sure he was happy that he did it, just to kind of be that veteran in the pro wrestling game of, hey, I can carry a world title for you, no problem. Mm-hmm. But I think right now, I think he's enjoying the mentorship because people have to remember Joe is doing also other avenues going on. Obviously, Twisted Metal is going to have a season 2 on Peacock. So, I mean, there's that going on. And he did phenomenal as the embodiment of Sweet Tooth on the show. It wasn't his voice, obviously, but it was his body, like his motion of it as Sweet Tooth on that show. So I think he's doing a lot of that. He's probably doing a lot of press junkets for that eventually coming up and filming it. So I think he's just enjoying his time working with, someone young like Hook. And, even though he's not young and he's been in the game a while, someone like Shibata. I think that's something that Joe probably would have loved to dream of, was working with guys from, New Japan, coming to Ring of Honor and AEW. And that's another thing I think we got to remember when Joe in TNA, he had a lot of phases between the face and the heel, and he played well with both. And so I think right now we're getting face Joe, obviously with his feud with, Swerve, he was heel, but now he's off that. He can be a face and work with someone like Hook. And people got to remember he defended the title against Hook, and Hook left a good impression on him during their match. And I feel like Joe kind of gained respect for Hook, and that's why they kind of paired this group up.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. And someone on Facebook made a mention and showed the three of them walking down towards the ring, and they were like, I wonder, because the other two guys, so Joe's got his towel, Shibata's got his towel, And then they're like, I wonder if he's gonna, Hook will have a towel as a bit of a ode, kind of, I guess, a show of respect for his dad, right? He used to wear the kind of raggedy towel over his head, so he just has one kind of matching. It'd be a black one, I guess, if he had one, because that's what Taz would have, or I mean, an orange one. That'd be kind of cool if it was orange, just a bit of a show of respect. So that'd be kind of cool. I think those three are going to win this one. I think it'll probably be Keith who will take the loss on that one, and it'll be interesting. You know what? I'll say the one thing I find is the funniest part that Jericho's done. I don't know if you noticed it or laughed at it when he's like, "Hey, who wants a T-shirt? Who wants a T-shirt?" He gets all excited, and then he just kind of puts it down, like, "Yeah, we'll go get one then." And he doesn't throw it out; he just places it back. That's, to me, has been the funniest part of his whole shtick so far. It does, with the props, it does kind of scream WWE type of segments that they've always been kind of known for. So, well, anyways, we'll see. This match might be more entertaining than I think it's going to be, but we'll see about that. So the next, there's also the Owen Hart Cup tournament, I guess, would be starting. So they're actually going to be showcasing Bryan Danielson versus Shingo Takagi. Oh my God, I'm butchering that. I'm obviously butchering that one. Takagi. Okay, thank you. Anyways, so he's going to be. So this is interesting. I'm not actually familiar with Shingo. I don't know. Again, if they're just kind of throwing this one on here, maybe looks like Brian probably wanted to fight him, and of course, it seems like whatever Bryan Danielson wants right now in terms of his opponents as he winds down. It seems like he's kind of getting whoever he wants if they can make it possible, which is fine if they're going to do that. And I know the match will be entertaining. I just personally don't know. Again, I have a lack of knowledge when it comes to the New Japan or IWGP. I'm just not up to snuff, and it's only really through some YouTube videos I'm seeing now on Facebook. I'm getting exposed a little more, and to what AEW's exposed me to. So I've always appreciated that aspect of kind of showing me wrestlers I've never even heard of, but I know they're actually pretty popular there. So. Well, oh, sorry if you just heard my cat was just throwing up. That's great. I'll make sure and clean that up later. But I don't know. I'm kind of excited about the tournament. The tournament's back, and the Owen Hart tournament will have its final match, which will take place in Calgary, Alberta, which I think is very fitting. So we'll see. I guess it was the last. It was Adam Cole won the last one, right?
Ricky Starks.
Oh, and Ricky Starks, right. So Adam Cole won the first year. Ricky Starks won last year. So it'll be interesting to see, who will take the title in this one. But anyways, what do you think about this match?
I like it. I'm very familiar with Takagi. He was huge in New Japan. He's been the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion before. He's also big in Dragon Gate wrestling. That's also based in the Japan area. He's had some really good matches over there with people that some people know. Yoshida has been over there for anyone who follows New Japan. Akira Tozawa, who's over in WWE, has done some work over in Dragon Gate and had some matches. And actually, he was the Twin Gate champion with Tozawa over in Dragon Gate. He's done some work in Ring of Honor. So I think I think this is a good matchup. I think right now you're seeing Danielson kind of match up with these New Japan guys because he's never got that chance. With his career in WWE as far as he was, during the Vince era, I don't think he was more open to letting these guys like Trips is letting some of these people appear in other promotions right now for, per their, schedule. And Vince wasn't like that with Danielson. Danielson was kind of tight-knit in WWE. He couldn't really do anything. So he didn't really have these dream when New Japan was kind of building up and getting some of these star matches you saw with like a Kenny Omega or Okada or all those guys over there and Naito and all that. So I think this is a really cool matchup for Danielson and Takagi. And like you said, watching YouTube videos, you can find these guys on YouTube. If you're not familiar with New Japan Pro Wrestling guys right now, there are some good solid wrestlers over there, and Takagi is one of them. And I think this match is really, really. Might be a like candidate a match of the night because of how these two styles are. Takaji's one of those kind of mix of Okada and like Ospreay, where he's hard hitting, but he's gonna do some crazy stuff to throw you off. And Danielson is just that technician. So I think these two styles are gonna really mash up in this match. And I'm actually really looking forward to seeing it. Obviously, this may just be, a good 20-minute match, 25-minute match, and just let Danielson kind of win and advance in the tournament. So that's my goal. Is I think Danielson pulls it out in the end. He just put over Will Ospreay at Dynasty. So, and he took the loss at the last pay-per-view against the Elite. So I think right now this is a good push for Danielson to, even make it all the way to the finals of the Owen Hart tournament.
Yeah, I've been just saying with this tournament, right? I'm not really sure where they're going. Like, in terms of, they haven't set up. There's some tournaments that are always kind of like it's kind of setting up the next phase or giving that the young guy an extra push, right? That kind of put them into the next realm. But it'd be interesting. They did a great vignette. I know I've commented how much I do like the vignettes and the production that AEW does to tell these kind of stories. And when they do it, they always kind of get a more personalized, the character, the actual guy behind the character. And the last one just past week was actually a really good one and a reminder that Jeff Jarrett did and why it's so important for him to be a part of this tournament, and they kind of reflected on some of the best years of his career was when they were tag team champions, him and Owen Hart, way back. And I remember watching that video right after when they were recording. So the wrestlers that were saying like a goodbye and paying their respects to Owen when he originally passed. And I always remembered Double J just barely being able to speak, being so like destroyed. So after that, and kind of going, if you're going back, and he said like he was asked to be part of it, which I think was great. And I think Tony Khan is really good about doing those things and showing the respect, and like when things make sense. Like even if it doesn't really make sense for him to be in the tournament, to where the storylines could go. But it just kind of shows like having a guy like that, there's history there. It makes sense for him to be there, even if he's not a main guy today. There was a lot of history, and they can play off of that, and it's a show of respect. And these guys who love Owen, I'm sure, want nothing more than to be part of an Owen Hart tournament, or to honor and respect the history and the person that he was, because he seems like he was such an awesome person. So I'm interesting. I would love to actually see Jeff Jarrett, because of that, at least just go to the finals, because all of a sudden it's like oh my God, could he win? Like, why him? I love when they kind of throw in a guy that you're not really expecting, and because it doesn't make no sense. Like so I like when they kind of throw a wild card in there, and you're like, wow, this is kind of interesting. It's like when they let Dustin Rhodes, kind of go down the path and go down long in a tournament where you're kind of like, he's probably not going to win, but holy cow, he's actually won a couple matches. So I like when they show a bit of respect for the older guys to kind of throw them in there and for this kind of tournament. But yeah, I know I kind of segued there, but I don't know if your kind of thoughts on some of the guys you're putting in, or if you saw, your thoughts on Jeff Jarrett even, and his history with Owen, and it makes sense for him to be there.
Yeah, I love the fact. People, pardon my French, they shit on Tony a lot, and there's some agreement there, but some disagreement, because there is some stuff that he does actually right, and I think the tournament is one of them, by honoring someone like Owen Hart, knowing that someone like WWE will never do that just because of the circumstances surrounding his passing with them. So someone like AEW and Tony Khan swooping in and being like, listen, he's still a Canadian wrestler that was one of the best to do it, and he needs to be honored some way. And so let's just do a tournament. And the fact that they partnered up with his widow and his children and their family and the foundation to be like, listen, we're going to do this for Owen. Just because he was a good wrestler, and that's what we want to promote, is wrestling and pro wrestling and good matches. So this tournament is really good, and I love the fact that they do have that callback to Owen. And I think you can look at some of the brackets previously for this tournament, and there were some guys in some of the brackets. I'd have to look back, but you had some guys in the brackets that were Canadian wrestlers that were in the brackets. So it's like we're still getting Canadian wrestlers in the brackets, so it's like, we're still honoring that legacy of Owen, this Canadian legend of a man coming in and all that stuff. And I love the fact now they're also doing the whole winner gets a main event title at, All In. Now this kind of sets up, well, it could be anyone now, but, who's going to be champion going into All In?
Mm-hmm.
Are they setting up a Danielson, Will Ospreay part 2 at All In? Because Dynasty was such a good match. They're like, let's run it back. And you could have the story right there. Danielson, the last time we wrestled, I barely could leave the ring and I had to get helped and I want to redeem myself. And Ospreay's like, all right, cool, let's do it. So you get a part 2, so I mean, there's a lot of chances there to have a good match with whoever the champion is going into All In, which I still believe, it's going to be part of prediction tonight. But I'm saying it early is I think maybe Ospreay. So, but we'll see, but I think this tournament is really cool. And I'm glad someone like Jeff Jarrett, who's almost at like the end of his career, even though he's got rejuvenated, I think it's a good way for him to finish up, to have some good matches, some good tournament matches, and just some good times with AEW before he's like, I'm done, and just maybe works backstage as a producer or a talent agent or something like that for AEW.
Yeah, no, it's it's nice to see. So whatever happens, at least he's going to go out on a high note, which is great. So I guess the next match here is MJF versus, is it Hashiro?
It's Hechicero.
Okay, Hechicero. Okay,
Hechicero. You got to say it like it's Spanish. Hechicero.
Bless you. Yeah. So again, this is kind of an interesting character. I kind of like, he's kind of cool. I like the hardness of it. And apparently, I guess he's been a good wrestler, or very well known in Mexico. So I'm kind of interesting to see this one. And I thought, again, I think MJF will get a huge pop. Obviously, they want to make sure and utilize him. And I thought it was a great first match up to bring this past week against Rush. That was a really good match. I know we had talked about it. We had some good thoughts about what that match was going to do. Because again, I brought up, I said, Rush is also a cocky bastard. It's just as cocky as MJF is, and he totally was, right? So, and it was neat how MJF played the baby face, right? And I know he is the baby face right now for the most part, even though he's got that Ric Flair thing where he's a baby face, but still, the dirtiest player in the game type of appeal, right? So at least people love and they get a good kick out of it. But that last match this week, Rush, I did definitely want to touch on it since we had talked about it. And I, again, thought it was a great job. Rush, again, he's just solidifying himself as a top guy, right? His personality's coming out more. He's a badass. He's a hard hitter. He'll take it. He'll take it to you. And actually, he's one of those guys that when you look at him, when he looks pissed, it actually makes me feel like he really is pissed off. Like he just doesn't seem like the kind of guy I'd want to mess with. I think he just comes across as serious, which is great. And I'll get your comments on there, but I did like, and I know we were talking about what's going on with Rush, and he like what's going to happen. And I love there, if you saw there, and you see the hand get touched on his shoulder, whatever, and then they pan out, and of course, it's our good friend Don Callis there, and I was like, that is interesting. I'm like, that, yes, I love that. If you friggin' pair him up and bring him into that group, all of a sudden we've been talking about, remember we were talking about, hey, what's going on with the Don Callis family? We'll talk about it later on, but I love Kyle Fletcher. I've been talking about Kyle Fletcher every week. He's amazing, right? So again, he's great. Takeshita, with Trent Beretta, it's in there as well. I think it's a great fit for him. But anyways, I just want to see what your thoughts, because we had talked about the match. How did you feel, I guess, being MJF's first match for 2024, and how do you think he did?
I think it was a great matchup. I mentioned that I do love the fact that Rush is getting utilized more on AEW, and him having a match against one of the top guys in MJF. I think it's great. It's kind of reminded me of the early days of when Jeff Hardy went on that singles run in his early WWE days, and one of his big first matchups was against The Undertaker. And he kind of gained the respect of Undertaker in that match, So I kind of feel like it's that kind of like level of this guy is getting the respect of the people that are in there, their top names. and he's a great wrestler. I mean, I have not. I mean, him and Andrade. I mean, when they were paired up, I thought that was a great pairing when they were when he was in AEW. I think that was a great group with him. And, you know, the fact that Rush had a great show, and I say it all the time, had a great showing in the Continental Tournament. You know, I honestly thought he should have went a little further. He probably should have been in the, you know, the main event round of his bracket at least. And so, you know, but I like the fact that, you know, he had that match. And again, it's that nice little, again, if nobody saw it on camera, rewatch at the end when MJF is pinning him. You just see Rush's right hand grab MJF's head and just do that and then drop. Pat MJF on the head, basically saying, I think we did our job and made this match look really good. And so, like, or literally just saying, thank you for giving me this opportunity to wrestle against you. Like, I mean, the guy was the longest reigning AEW champion, and he's wrestling Rush. And Rush, I mean, in his mind, he's probably thinking, I don't deserve this, but I'm going to do whatever I can to make this match look good. And they did. They did really well. And so I do love the fact that the idea of pulling Rush into the Don Callis family, because we keep talking about it. I mean, Hobbs is injured. And so, I mean, you got Trent, but Trent doesn't even measure up to the size of a man that Hobbs is. So what else can Don Callis do? Well, let me get two men to fill in for one. I mean, that's the theory. Like, it's almost like that guy's built like shit brick house where it's like two guys just put together muscular. All right, Trent, Rush. There's your Hobbs replacements right there, because those two men can make up the body build and anger and energy of a Hobbs. So I like the idea of them bringing him in with Kyle Fletcher, especially if the idea is having Ospreay break away from that group and kind of keep separated. I mean, they're going to need people in it and keep that thing going for something. So I do like the idea of Rush being dragged into that group.
Me too. I think it's going to be a great group, because those guys, if all those guys are be badass. And again, so maybe going back to my theory, if they really are going to, if they are heating up the trios division, which we've seen a lot of these trios matches kind of leading up, it's a great way to throw in, boom, you've got choice of like pick any three of them, right? They're great. And I love it. I love that they all start coming to ring more, like wearing the black kind of suits. I love that look. I mean, if they could just go with it, because Don's doing it, yet Trent's following, of course, Kyle Fletcher's coming in with a suit and the attack. I like it. If they make that their signature, done. Like I love it. I'm actually I'm really digging this group more and more. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens. And God, I think it's awesome. If Rush hooks up with these guys, perfect. I would say if I was the only thing I'd say about Rush, if I was an opponent, and almost like, can you not just step out of the shower and just right into the ring? Because he always looks like he literally just steps out of the shower. He's like soaked, and he jumps in and gets in the ring, and you're like, man, like how am I supposed to wrestle here? You're just soaked. But anyways, yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with the Don Callis family there. And I just wanted to bring up, I know we kind of segued out of our predictions here, but I thought it was worth mentioning because we've been talking about it a lot. So I think he's our boy. I think we have a secret. We're rooting for Rush, right? So I think we both kind of agree there. Yeah. So again, I think MJF is going to take the win on this one. I think it's a good showcase. I'm actually looking forward to. I don't really know Hechichiro very well. I think he's had a couple matches, but I do like when guys are like that in the character. I like the makeup. I like the Penta type of style, the Penta look. So I'm actually in this case, he looks pretty badass. Like I think he was in a couple matches. But yeah, so I think it's going to be a hard hitting match. So, but I think obviously MJF is going to take the win on that one. I'm actually looking forward to this next one because again, I've talked about this guy quite a bit about how much I really, really enjoy him since I saw him live in person, and I'm a total fan. Well, Mark is Zack Sabre Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Love him. This is a great match, and again, got to see him live when he came and when he did a match with in TNA this past December. Loved it. Got to see it up close. Got to hear the way he interacted and he talked with the crowd. The way his character was awesome. He had me sold. And he's going to be up against Orange Cassidy, which is going to be an interesting match for sure. And we did see some of that this week in that 8-man tag, which again, great match. And I've said it before, AEW does a great job on these 8-man tag matches with the guys that they put in for phenomenal. And it's more like a circus like show, the way the high flyers and it's all about spot, spot, spot. But from an entertainment standpoint, it's amazing. And the live crowd loves these matches. And again, they always get a "this is awesome" chant, especially because they always put some phenomenal guys in there. So we did get a bit of a chance to get a preview with Zach and Orange. And everyone, just if you watch, the whole crowd quiets down because they're so intrigued with their grappling and the submission moves and the constant, you know, and Zach's great actually, and they really complement each other because Orange is actually really good. So I think when you pair him up with someone like Zach, Orange's talent really comes out. Especially from that submissions and reversals type of position, that reversal wrestling. So which Zach is awesome at. So I'm really looking forward to this match. I really wish, it's funny that nobody's that Zach isn't like, he seems to move around a lot. So I don't know if he prefers that because, again, he's in New Japan a lot and he'll come over and do some spots in TNA. He'll do some spots in AEW. But I'm surprised no one's locked this guy down. I really hope he's not meant for WWE. I would love to see him in AEW. I think he'd be a perfect fit. So now, again, two of my new favorites are definitely Zack Sabre and Kyle Fletcher. I'm becoming a real big Kyle Fletcher. If you watch the way he moves, he sells so well. And that's why a guy like that will go right to the top. Because if you can sell and make other guys look great, like sky is the limit. It's almost a greater skill to sell than it is to actually, be able to do the moves on somebody, right? So if you watch him, he's phenomenal the way he takes shots. So again, I just wanted to kind of go back because I this past week on Dynamite, I was kind of an odd, like fucking right, these guys are good. So anyways, what are your thoughts? I've been yapping here. What are your thoughts on Zach and Orange, and who do you think is going to come out? And what do you think that we're going to see from this match?
Well, sky's not the limit for Kyle Fletcher because he's already reached it and now he's dating her. So, so there's that. But yeah, no, I to your point, I do agree. Someone like Zack Sabre, I freaking love. I used to watch him with old videos from when he wrestled in PWG. That was back when he was skinny. He was a scrawny guy back in PWG when he was their world champion. And then he won the Battle of LA in 2015 with them. So, and then I think after 2015, he kind of ventured into New Japan Pro Wrestling after that, moving on from PWG, because a lot of those guys from the early PWG days are now on to, the bigger shows, people like Kevin Owens, the Young Bucks, Zack Sabre, Sami Callihan, all those guys came through PWG. And, even though PWG does get a bad rap per one of our previous guests we had on here, Tony Deppen, they did produce a lot of good name pro wrestlers out of that group. And so someone like a Zack Sabre, I think, matching up with an Orange Cassidy, and, I like the idea of this new aggressive Orange Cassidy. There's less like joking Orange Cassidy. He still does the hands in the pockets, but he's still like putting moves out there, and he's still showing what he can do in the ring, and he's showing more aggression, even when he's doing the top rope light elbow from the top rope, kind of just and landing like all funny. I mean, he's still putting the work in the ring, and I think we all agreed we were all waiting for the more aggressive, more darker side of Orange Cassidy, and he's kind of showing that with his darker denim. It's not the bright white kind of bright blue color. It's more of like a darker tone with the black shirt underneath. It's like he's showing something. And I think maybe this match, I mean, as much as I think a lot of people, few people are like, Orange is going to win. This is pointless. I honestly think Zach should win this match. I think Zack Sabre should win this match. I think somehow Orange Cassidy should have it almost in the bag until maybe Trent rears his ugly head again and costs Orange the match. And Zack Sabre steals it. And this is where we see the full dark side of Orange, where he's like, dude, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of Trent coming around and, making it what it is. And we're going to finish this and we're going to do it the dark way. and kind of have that a lights out match like the one he had with Adam Cole a few years back. I think that would be cool too. So yeah, I'm gonna go with actually Zack Sabre Jr. kind of stealing the win here on this match.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'd love to see Zack Sabre take this one for sure. And because Orange did get the pin in the 8-man tag match on Dynamite the other night. So, and he did come out again. I was excited because I thought we were going to see that darker version, like you're saying. But lately he's actually reverted back to the light denim. I've noticed. I'm like, oh, on the white shirt, and then he came back. I was actually digging his old theme music. And then they switched it back again, and they put it to like, I'm like, oh, same. Well, everything's back to what it was. And they literally went for like a few weeks. I was actually really looking forward to seeing a darker, and consistent, like the dark denim, keep the dark shirt, old school sunglasses he used to wear, old theme. I like that, and I think a lot of people are kind of excited for that. Now it's just like, okay, I guess we're not getting that. We're just getting the same old Orange Cassidy, which again, was still entertaining. And it should be a good match. And I hope you're right. I think Zach should win this because I know Zach, the last time he was on a pay-per-view, he lost to Bryan Danielson, right? But again, it'll be an entertaining match. I'm looking forward to that one. The next one we have is Jon Moxley versus Tetsuya Naito.
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 Yeah, he was there. He was actually there. The former champion of New Japan.
Yeah, I see that. So this is for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, and of course, Jon Moxley is currently the champion. But yeah, so it's again, I'm not as familiar with Tetsuya, but again, I know that he is a top class rated wrestler because again, I know he was a former champion for the former IWGP champion. So I don't know. This is gonna be interesting. Do you see? Moxley potentially dropping the belt and let that belt just go back to Japan, without him having to go back and forth and back and forth. So, I mean, or, the whole point of putting the belt on him months ago was leading up to this moment so they could have a good, meaningful match at Forbidden Door. And then, he drops the title and it goes back to Japan. Then he just goes back to regular AEW.
I mean, I don't know. I would love to see Naito win the title back because he's doing so much, even at his age. I mean, the man is 42 years old, and he's still doing some magic in the ring, at 42 years old. I mean, we talk about other athletes in their prime, even in their 40s. I mean, look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady played until he was 45. Brett Favre played until he was like 43 or something like that. So these guys are still going in their 40s doing these sports, and you're seeing it with wrestlers now too. I mean, Sting was doing it all the way into his 60s. Billy Gunn is doing it in his 50s. Jericho's doing it in his 50s.
Dustin,
Dustin is doing it in his 50s. It's like, dude, it's like this NATO guy, and people have to remember some of these New Japan guys have been there for a long time. Like NATO has been in New Japan for I want to say almost over a decade, maybe even longer. He's been there for a long time. He's kind of one of the faces of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And his group actually, we actually just talked about someone that was part of his faction over in New Japan, Tagaji. Mm-hmm. Tagaji is actually part of his group over in New Japan. And so I do like this idea of, they're going to have a good match. And it's going to be something like you see over at, in New Japan, like you see at the New Japan, like, Kingdom, whatever, the Forbidden Kingdom or whatever they call that pay-per-view. And so I really think this would be a good time to let Naito take the title back to New Japan and get Moxley back in AEW as just guy for the BCC. And I think that's what they need because of everything going on with Danielson almost at the end of his run in his career. So they're like, we're going to need Moxley back. So even then, if you bring Moxley back, you still have those three guys, Claudio, Wheeler Yuta, and Moxley, that you could start running trios matches with them as well. So, you got the idea of Claudio and Wheeler doing tag teams and Moxley doing singles, or all three of them as a trios. So as much as, I was happy for Moxley winning, the IWGP World title, the title he's never won, actually. So it was really cool to see him finally win it. Because he's been chasing that for like 3 to 5 years, that title alone. And so since he left WWE, he had been chasing that title. So I think it was a good call to let him have it a little bit, let him run with it, had some good matches with it, but maybe let him drop it back to the guys in New Japan that are over there 24/7. So as much as it pains me to say that Moxley's going to win, I would still love to see Naito win his title back.
Yeah, I think we've all kind of make comments about Mox being really protected and winning, more times than maybe he should. He doesn't give it up too often to others. But I'm hoping, this would be a perfect opportunity something has to change hands. You can't have Forbidden Door pay-per-view not have something. You can't go with all the typical, right? You had to have some kind of surprises in there. So maybe that's going to be one of those surprises that Moxley drops the belt. So we'll see about that. I don't think we're going to see a title change hands. The next bout here that we're looking at, which is Timeless Toni Storm versus Mina Shirakawa for the AEW Women's World Championship. So again, they've created a little bit of controversy here. So it'll be interesting to see where the storyline goes and where the loyalty lies for Mariah May as she is with Toni Storm as a bit of a sidekick, a bit of a poodle, to Toni Storm. But, she was a very good friend and seems to be a pretty special friend with Shirakawa. So we'll see what kind of prevails here. Again, I'm not overly familiar with Shirakawa. As I've mentioned, I'm not a regular fan or regular watcher or viewer of anything in the Japanese type style wrestling. So again, I'm assuming this is going to be pretty interesting, bout, and they've added that extra layer of storytelling in there with what's going to happen. Is Mariah potentially going to turn on a Storm, or is she going to be caught in the middle, and she'll be the cause of whichever combatant loses. So what are your thoughts on this bout?
I like this match. I honestly do like Mina Shirakawa. She was part of the World Wonder Ring Stardom, so she's had a good career over there. That's how she's very familiar with Mariah May, and so I do like the idea of Mariah May there being in the corner for both of them. And honestly, I think Toni Storm retains. I think Forbidden Door is where you're going to see a return, I hope, of someone, whether it's Britt Baker or Jamie Hayter. And so I really hope that's what it sets up for. And so, because obviously, the one after Forbidden Door, I believe, is All In. And so, obviously, we already know the winner of the Women's Owen Hart tournament is going to be, facing the champion at All In. But then again, we don't know if they're facing the champion of the Women's Champion or the TBS champion. They really didn't specify, did they? Because they said a women's title match, but they didn't say the Women's World title or the TBS. And
well,
so
they let them pick, maybe.
And that's the thing. If Mariah May, if that's the route they're going to go with Mariah May winning the tournament, is she really going to be like, I'll face Toni Storm? Or she go, I love you too much, I'll go after Mercedes Moné. But maybe they can even save 2 returns. They can have, Jimmy Hayter or Britt Baker come back for, Timeless Toni Storm, and then on the other hand, you could have one of the other one come back for Mercedes. Ideally, for me, I think the return to face Timeless Toni Storm should be Jamie Hayter, because obviously Jamie Hayter was the one that lost it to Toni Storm, and then say Britt for Mercedes, because I think that match has been brewing for a while. That matchup, I think a lot of people have been brewing about it, saying Britt Baker back when she was Sasha Banks. They need to see. We'd love to see a Britt Baker versus Sasha Banks. Well, now she's in AEW as Mercedes Moné. There's your setup there. But I do see Timeless Toni Storm retaining, and obviously, I actually do see Mariah May winning the women's tournament to where she could face Toni Storm at All In and say, I want to prove myself to you and prove that I can win that title.
I hope it's not. I hope she doesn't win. Or maybe I just don't like the character that she's playing. I just don't see her as a top performer, top wrestler. Maybe because I just haven't seen. I've only seen her this version, right? Maybe if I had watched her before, obviously she came from something. She was known. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I would like to see a Britt Baker, and I think Britt Baker. You're right; that would be a good matchup for Mercedes. And it'd be nice to see Jamie Hayter back, and I think the crowd would go nuts for that because it's been so long. And everyone's like, "Do you think this is it?" I mean, how many times have we mentioned it in the last few months? Like, do you think this is going to be it? Could this be the chance? And no. We don't even hear a peep about it. So either they're doing a really good job of keeping things quiet, and we'll see someone like special, but I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happens. But as we I guess go on to for this one, I mean I'm going with Tony Storm. I don't know if you have any difference there in terms of who we think is going to win. Doesn't really make sense for her to lose. And then the next we also have is this could be could be an interesting one, and probably even more interesting is the AEW TBS Championship and the NJWP Strong Women's Championship. Mercedes Monet versus Stephanie Vacure. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, Vacquar.
Vacquar
or something like that. Yeah, I'm not good at pronouncing it either.
So again, I've never seen Stephanie. Again, they're doing some of these vignettes and some building up to some of the videos to show that where she's been, and she seems to be a pretty tough girl from what I'm gathering here. So this could be a really good match. I've Mercedes has been pretty good up until now. Coming back. I know that she had her first big match, the last one, and I thought that went pretty well. But so this will be interesting. Now, when they do title for title, that makes it interesting, right? Because it's not just one person has something to lose, either of them, and then someone could walk away with two titles. So if that's going to be the case, I definitely think that Mercedes is going to walk away with both belts if she has the opportunity to do so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Anybody who's not familiar with Stephanie Vacquar, very talented professional wrestler, very good, very talented, very good in CMLL. I highly recommend everybody check her out. I mean, she's also wrestled for Stardom, the Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling, and even New Japan Pro Wrestling. And yeah, she is the current NGPW Women's Champion, the title that has eluded. I believe Mercedes may have won it one time. And actually in a tournament, she's beaten Stephanie for that title in the tournament. Yeah. But let me tell you something about someone like Stephanie Vacquar. She's not just one, she's not just two, but she is 3 belts right now, currently.
Really?
The 3 belts she currently holds are the Arena Azteca Budokan International Women's title, the CMLL World Women's title, the CMLL World Women's Tag Team Championship with Zeux, who Mercedes just wrestled recently, which I believe Mercedes wrestles way better against luchadoras. And I don't know why, but she matches very well against luchadoras. She is the current IWC Women's Champion, the current Strong Women's Champion, and she's currently ranked number 54 in the PWI Women's 250. And she's also currently the Arena I can't even pronounce it. Escalade Mixed Tag Team Champion with a man named Ricky Marvin. So that just shows you how much, legacy this Stephanie is leaving behind. Mm-hmm. So, and I think this matchup with Mercedes is going to show that it's going to be a really good matchup. But yeah, I do believe this is where Mercedes wins the title and walks away with 2 titles. And again, maybe this is a return of a Britt Baker, since that's a dream match everybody has been talking about for years.
Yeah. It sound like you rhymed off like 6 championships.
Yeah, I was off by 3, but no, she's currently holding a lot of titles.
That's right now. Insane. That is insane. So, that's awesome. I'm actually looking forward to it. And I know too, even though I'm saying I don't know a lot of these wrestlers, it doesn't mean I this is where I get educated, and this is why one of the things I've always liked about AEW is because of introducing me to wrestlers that I never would have been exposed to. Even if it's like not even part of a storyline, it's just been about a great professional wrestling match, and it's just lining two guys up together, and from a pure entertainment standpoint. So I'm looking forward to it. With some of these, the ones I don't even know, I'm looking forward to being pleasantly surprised. So especially the different styles that are on this, it's kind of neat to see, like you said, like a Mercedes, you put her with someone like a Stephanie, that style, you know what I mean? That, and it clashes, right? So it almost complements them really well. So that's going to be interesting to see. So we have the next match to review is the AEW TNT Championship, which will be a ladder match to determine the new TNT champion. So we have involved in this is Konosuke Takeshita versus Mark Briscoe versus Jack Perry versus Dante Martin versus Leo Rush versus to be determined. Do we know who this is?
I'll be totally honest with you, Matt. I have no clue who that mystery person they would put in there at all. I mean, I'm thinking of former TNT champions they may throw in there, but there's not a lot. I mean, I can't think of. Maybe a returning Sammy Guevara. Maybe a surprise entrance of Adam Page. Maybe someone else. I mean, the things are limitless of who you could put in that final spot for that title. But my thing is, I mean, this match is going to go one or two ways of who's holding that title at the end. It's either going to be interference and a win for Takeshita, or an interference and a win from Jack Perry. Those are the only two names I see in this match that are going to win this match to hold that TNT title. Those are the two guys. I'm not just picking one. Those are my two options, because I feel like that's what they're setting this match up for. It's for one of those guys to hold the title. Neither one of them has held singles gold in AEW yet. And it would be a big push for both of them and the groups that they're in to win a singles title and kind of be, cemented in a legacy now of that title. Someone like a Jack Perry holding the TNT title with all the gold in the Elite, or someone like a Takeshita winning the gold and joining someone like a Kyle Fletcher, who's the Ring of Honor TV champion in Don Callis' family. That kind of gives them more with golds, So it's kind of a win-win with those two choices, I think. And again, I have no clue who that final wild card person is going to be in this ladder match. But that's as far as my prediction goes for this match.
Yeah, let's see. Title. Did I say? So, okay, so Malachi is not in this. So when they do something like this, when they say, "Oh, it's to be determined," I know everybody's brain always thinks, "Oh, it's got to be someone that we're not expecting. It's got to be someone coming back. It's got to be a new signing." But again, it could be a lot of guys. Like I could even see being Christian coming down, right? He's always like one of the kings of the ladder matches, and I don't think he's on the card, so it makes sense to kind of throw him in there. What about Pac? Where's Pac? Why can't he be a wild card?
Right. I think they've got him, though. He just recently won that open round match against Claudio for the Owen Hart tournament.
Right.
I think they got him doing that, so that's why he's not in it. But that's why I said, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they throw in a former TNT champion in that final spot. Someone like a Sammy Guevara or someone like a Darby Allin.
Yes.
We haven't seen Darby. We haven't seen Darby since he was hung upside down by the Elite. And so, I mean, maybe someone like a Scorpio Sky. We haven't seen him in forever. I mean,
whatever happened to him?
Yeah, no, and so I'm like, that's a former champion right there. You could throw in the match, But if it's a prediction of who comes back in that spot for that final spot, again, it's got to be someone that no one would expect to be in that final spot.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I do like the Sammy, and Sammy just posted. Because I do follow some of the stuff that Sammy does, and he posted like 1 year ago. I don't know if you saw when he did like there's a 450 splash on the Sting on right. So I was like, that would make sense if he came back. Just like you said, that would make sense for Sammy to be, because he's a ladder match guy, and he's been off for a while. So you know what? Now you got me thinking. I'm going to go with Darby or Sammy I think I'm with you. You
Yeah,
kind of
I can't think of anybody else but those two. I mean, two former TNT champions in a match with a bunch of guys who have actually never held the title before. I think that throws it out because now these guys are in this match. They're like, cool, we're all in this match. Don't care who the last guy is. All of us have a chance to become a first time TNT champion. Then, boom, you hit Darby's music, or boom, you hit Sammy's music. I mean, how loud do you think that place will be if you hear Sammy Guevara and like
right.
it's like, oh my god, he's back. Like he's back. This is his type of match.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. So how did again? I might have missed this. I missed some episodes or segments, but how did Leo Rush get into this?
It was a Rampage match. I
Wow.
believe he won it. He won his qualifier on a Rampage. I'm trying to remember who he wrestled to do it. But I believe maybe it was. I don't think it was. Yes, it was Action Andretti that he actually beat in the match. So he beat Action Andretti to qualify for this match.
I am. You know what? This is going to be a very entertaining match. Dante's great. He's been putting a lot. He's a big risk taker. So you throw him in there with Leo, and Leo will do some crazy shit as well. So, and you know Mark Briscoe, he'll always do crazy shit. You know what? Like this could be. I think this is going to be a really good match. I just don't want to see someone get really hurt.
Yeah.
I cringe now. And I'm like, because these guys, anyone who always does these matches, I get it. But I'm like, oh, it's so cringeworthy. So who did you say? Who do you think is going to be the new champion from this?
Again, my two choices were either Jack Perry or Takesha because those are the only two that make sense to win this title right now.
Okay, so if you had to pick one.
Oh, why you do that to me, Matt? Because they building up so much of, hey, Jack Perry, you know, they were about to reward him that's a title, so why not just make him wrestle for it and have him win it in the ladder match, considering he returned during a ladder match. And so his return was during that tag team ladder match. And, you know, I mean, I guess I'll go Jack Perry. I mean, the wonders that title would do for him, especially in the new elite with all of them holding gold. Like, it's like, okay, we hold the gold, we run this whole place now, you know, and then that's where you can be like, whoa, blood and guts. And that's another thing. We still got blood and guts coming up after Forbidden Door in Nashville. And I'm still debating if I want to buy tickets to go or not. But yeah, no, I mean, this might even set up blood and guts if he wins that match.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go with. I'm with you. To me, it only makes sense right now to have Jack Perry win it and have the title, so all of them have gold because it looks a little off. They've got 3 championships, you know, and then Jack's walking around with nothing. I think we'll see the Bucks come out in this. Again, they're all about ladder matches too. You're going to see them kind of waltz down, and they're going to all get a big boo, distract. They're going to help out whatever's going to happen. I totally think that they're going to come out and help Jack Perry win, and he'll be the new TNT champion. So yeah, I'm with you on that. It just makes sense for now, right now. But
I think you're also going to see a little bit of interference from Don Callis' family too, with Takesha. You might even see those two groups interact with each other during this match.
Yeah,
an interaction nobody expected. The Don Callis family, a heel group, interacting with the Elite, a heel group. You know, where the Young Bucks are like, oh, whoa, we're not going to fight. We're all on the same page. We're all bad guys. You know, and just see someone from the Don Callis family say, screw this, and just hit someone from the Elite or something like that. Like, it's like, wait, what's going on? And, you know, so you got to throw that in there as well.
You know, that's a great, that would be that. Okay, that would make a great rivalry to have, especially if you have Roosh join it. So you've got like Roosh join the team, those 4 against the Elite. Perfect. I think that'd be a great setup for an 8-man tag for a bit of a feud. So no. See, again, this is why we love AEW. There's always so many, you know, for all the crap people give it, there's just always so many options to throw guys together in dream matches. So we got to be fortunate, give thanks, grateful to be this, you know, we say it like to be a wrestling fan these days. It's like what we are seeing, the amount of wrestlers and top guys wrestle against top guys. Like we see world-renowned wrestlers every single week. these days as a wrestling fan. You can tune in anywhere to see amazing wrestling. And then, we'll look back, eventually be like, yeah, that was a great time, man. There was a lot of great wrestlers. So yeah, so I mean, it's nice that, we're fortunate to be talking about wrestling during this period of time. So, which is great. So I guess this will take us to it is the 2024. I guess this would be the headliner match, the AEW World Championship, held by Swerve Strickland, as he will defend against Will Ospreay, who is the international champion. And I think everyone's expecting this one to be a banger of a match. I think we're going to see some of the best out of Swerve. So it's going to be nice to see Swerve fight against a caliber like Ospreay to bring what it brings out in him. So I think it's going to be a great match. This one's a tough one. I guess I'll go with, if I go with my head, it only makes sense to keep the belt on Swerve and keep him going. I think it feels too soon. They built up that too long to just take it away, right? They built up Swerve for months and months and months and months, right? To have him a shorter reign than what Samoa Joe did, it doesn't make sense. Now, are we seeing Will lose his first match in AEW? How do we feel about that? And do we see, if he does, could it be a possible interference by the Don Callis family because of the comments that he was making, saying, "I don't need the family," and them getting a bit upset? So, were they was that little segment meant to kind of set something up? What do you think, Adam?
So this is a double-edged sword in this main event, because I think you put the title on Swerve a little too late, and B, you're setting this matchup way too soon between these two guys. Plus, you have to look at what is going to sell out Wembley, because that is the next event you're going to have. The next big pay-per-view event is All In at Wembley. Do you stick with having Swerve going into Wembley as the champion and defending it against the winner of the Owen Hart tournament? Or do you take the risk and get one of the biggest signees you've had in professional wrestling, Will Ospreay, become a double champion and carry that title into All In at his home in Wembley Stadium and have him defend it against the winner of the Owen Hart tournament? So you kind of have to play off where AEW is at a standpoint of, we kind of wrote ourselves in a corner, but maybe we can correct it like this because we also want to sell out this show. Because remember, they did have a good sellout show of Wembley last year at their inaugural All In Wembley. They want to do it again. They want to have that 2 years in a row, and they need a good headline title match to do it. I don't think, and this is nothing against him or his work as champion, I don't think Swerve is a big enough person in Wembley or even England to be the headliner. That's why it's such a difficult choice to do. But if it's the smart move to make money for AEW, you have to go with Ospreay winning the title, only because you have him as your headliner at Wembley for All In. And that's where you're going to sell tickets, because all those wrestling fans in England know Will Ospreay. Whether it was his time in his Rev Pro or in New Japan, all that stuff, they know him over there. And now they're seeing him in the States, and they're like, that's our boy from England. If he's headlining Forbidden or All In, I'm going. That's where you're going to sell tickets. They saw that last year with his win over Chris Jericho at All In. People, they loved it. That crowd was eating it up. They're like, okay, we can do something with this next year. Maybe put the title on Will. Like I said, I think they put the international title on him too soon. He could have lost that somehow, maybe in a triple threat without getting pinned. Maybe in a ladder match without even having to, climb the ladder in a triple threat, whatever. They could have found some way where he could have lost that title, and then it sets him up. Because now what you're looking at Forbidden Door, now you're getting the possibility of two people walking out of that show with two titles, and that's Mercedes Moné and Will Ospreay. And so, but at the same time, that could set up All In for those two matches. Britt Baker, Mercedes Moné for the TBS title at All In. And then you have, maybe we know something AEW doesn't know about where they're going with it. Maybe they do keep the title on Swerve. We don't know. That's why this one is such a difficult one to call, But if it's you went off with your head and saying Swerve keeping the title, for me, I'm going to go with gut and money instincts and say WWE or WWE AEW pulls the trigger and puts the belt and has Will Ospreay leaves as a double champion at Forbidden Door. But I will add this at the end, twist the fate of it. Will Ospreay's winning. Don Callis family comes out acting like they're celebrating for him. Boom! Turn on him. Beat him up. And who's to save him? The former champion, Swerve. And MJF comes out and helps out too. Now you got this crazy group of Swerve, Will, and MJF looking at the Don Callis family. I mean, how great would that be for Forbidden Door to go off the air with both MJF, Will Ospreay, and Swerve Strickland standing in the ring, looking down the ramp, looking down and staring down the Don Callis family. I mean, that's money right there. There's so many stories you can go with that too.
Yeah. You know what? But so what if, I mean, even if they keep the belt.
I should be a booker. I'm sorry. I should be a booker.
I know. I'd love it. I know. That'd be amazing. So, okay. So why can't they, if they keep the belt on Swerve and just say they have a rematch, I guess your point is Swerve is not a big enough name to have in a main event. You're saying it has to be
only at All In. That's my only thing is at All In, you need to sell those tickets. And the one name people are going to want to buy tickets for is Will Ospreay. I mean, because he's the hometown boy. I mean, you look at it, someone like, look at the Von Erichs. Every time, at the stadium that they hosted wrestling shows at in Texas, it was sold out because they knew the Von Erichs were going to be on that card.
So we can't see. Do you think they would have a rematch of Swerve and Ospreay and actually have Ospreay win at Wembley and actually walk out the champion? I mean, can they possibly have that? And maybe, or you don't see that as being a rematch?
No. The only issue with that, and I will say this, Matt, I like the idea of a rematch. The only issue that doesn't work, and that's why I said they wrote them back in a corner, is this whole Owen Hart tournament now. Instead of just getting the belt and the trophy, now that winner is guaranteed a world title match at Wembley Stadium at All In. But then again, I don't know if that means a world heavyweight title or just a title match, because it looks like that's what I'm thinking. But I'm like, how do you write that out then? Because you've already said that the winners of both these matches, the men and the women, get a world title shot at All In. So it's like you kind of wrote yourself in a corner here. So they have to figure out what they got to do with that. If they want to have a rematch, the sad part is if they're going to have a rematch, it's going to be on a Dynamite. And at that point, you're just giving the match away for free.
Yeah.
That's why I said this match is kind of a double-edged sword, because you either way, it's sharp, and you have no idea where it's going to go and how you're going to go with it, because you kind of wrote yourself in a corner. As much as us as fans are thrilled to see this match, because us fans have been dying to see Swerve succeed, but someone like a Will Ospreay coming on, and people know, like someone like a me who was familiar with Will before he coming in even into AEW, you're like, this is a match that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I guess
I'm caught.
Yeah, you know what? And then I still think the idea of an MJF and Will Ospreay for the championship for a main event match would be also a huge match. That would be a big seller.
Now remember too, in the Owen Hart tournament, Jeff Jarrett does have a match, but it's against a wild card. That wild card could be MJF. So you could write him into the tournament and have him win it and go to All In and wrestle Ospreay in the main event.
See, that would make sense. That would prove the theory or idea. or yeah. I think that match would sell tickets. For sure, right? And they'd have a lot of great promos leading up to that. So, you know what? I'm going that route. I'm going with that one. So, no, I think we've come with some really good predictions and ideas. So, hopefully we get some of them. We haven't always been on. Surprising. I always think we should be right more often. We're not. God damn it. But anyways,
we weren't too far. We weren't too far off with what was it, the previous pay-per-view? What was it? Double or Nothing?
Yeah, I know there's some good ones.
I think we were kind of on point with some of those matches.
Yeah. So now I think we just forget what we say. So I never remember. Did we say one? And I'm like, I can't remember. Anyways, but it's going to be an entertaining card. And actually, now that we've had our discussion, I'm actually looking forward to a little more now that I've kind of dived into it, and the variety that they have. So it's going to be interesting. So I guess we can, if we remember what we said during this podcast, and it's only been a week and we forget everything. I don't even remember what I had for breakfast. But we will talk. We'll see what happens. It should be a good card, and we'll see predictions, and then that will bring up, like I said, if we get some more clarity. This is that road to Wembley, so that they're kind of paving. So it'll be all interesting. But before we sign off here, Adam, are you doing your Thursday show? And if so, have you come up with any topics so far?
Yeah, actually, I have. In honor of the Wyatt 6 return, their debut, I'm going to be talking about returns and debuts in pro wrestling, whether it's WWE or AEW, TNA, New Japan. Like, I'm going to be talking about returns and debuts in professional wrestling. So
very good. I'm sure it's going to be entertaining, like it always is. So good luck with the show. I'm sure it's going to be a great show. So everyone who's tuned in, come back and join us on Thursday night for Adam's show. Again, it's on All Elite Zone here. But again, thanks for everyone for tuning in and contributing. We're always appreciative. And please like and subscribe if you haven't, and tell your friends and family. And you can join us every Tuesday night here on YouTube for AEZ, All Elite Zone. And for another week, Adam, it's been a pleasure. And we'll do it all again next week. And we'll review some of the matches and the results from Forbidden Door on June 30th, coming up this weekend, live from the TD Bank in Boston. Cheers. Take care, everybody. Have a good week.